One of the most powerful epiphanies, in our personal opinion, is the core reason for our conflict. It's not necessarily about children or money or household duties, but it's the fact that we bump into each other's emotional wounds, which are often from our childhood.
And here's an example. Meet Mr. and Mrs. Mugg. Mr. and Mrs. Mugg met right after college, and like many people, when they saw each other, he was like, whoa, and she was like, woo. He had a degree and a future, and she was, well, look at her, she's a knockout. When they first started dating and hanging out, they were so careful because he's trying to win her heart and she's trying to win his affection. They had a few little problems along the way, a couple of bumps in the relationship, but they were just so careful. And then they got married. About a month into their marriage, they had a problem. They had a bump and stuff came out. And he looked at her and said, whoa, where did all that come from? And she looked at him and said, I didn't know you had anger issues. And he said, well, I didn't have anger issues until you bumped me. And then they had another problem and another. So she went to see her sister and said, I didn't know he was like that. And he sat around thinking, wow, she makes me so mad. And if she would just quit bumping me like that, maybe I wouldn't be so mad. My wife, she has issues. And so he says to her, you know, when we were dating, I didn't see all this. Where's this coming from? She says, well, every time we get in an argument, you make me act that way. Now, here's what I want you to see. Mr. Mugg thinks the reason the blue beads come out of him is because they keep having conflict, and she keeps bumping him. Mrs. Mugg thinks the reason the pink beads keep coming out of her is because they are having a problem and he keeps bumping her. Here's the truth. The reason the blue beads come out of Mr. Mugg is because that's what's in there. And the reason the pink beads come out of Mrs. Mugg is because that's what's in there. Inside these mugs are past experiences, hurts, pictures we've seen of marriage, and much of that is shaped by the families in which we were raised. When our mugs are full, it doesn't take much for us to overreact. And when we overreact, what's inside our mug comes pouring out. This is the best visual of counseling. You think it's your spouse's fault for making you angry, but in reality, it's learning and addressing what's inside of you. Confession. When someone hurts my feelings, I truly thought it was all about them. And after years of counseling, I'm now able to take responsibility and identify why my strong reactions are more about me than the actual circumstance. So here's an example. Russ and I can go to a party with some of his friends, and it's easy for them to reminisce about their football days for hours. I can leave the party and be hurt over being ignored. It used to always be Russ's fault for me feeling ignored. But the work I've done on myself now, over the years in counseling, is learning to connect the dots of being ignored when I was younger. It is truly my deepest emotional wound, and it doesn't take much to bump up against it. So you can imagine how difficult our arguments were because Russ would honestly not be ignoring me at the party, and I would be upset at him for not taking responsibility. So doing my work has released him of this internal battle I have.
And doing the work is difficult, but it has paid us dividends in peace and harmony. And better yet, the closeness we have in our marriage.
Now, before a party with his friends, I can give Russ a gentle reminder, which requires me to be vulnerable and share this wound of mine. If our spouse behaves in a way that even subconsciously reminds us of something hurtful our parents did, we may find ourselves reacting exactly the way we did as a kid, rebelling, retreating, or lashing out.